Oh, yes.
She's got my paperwork. I have to grab my paperwork then from her. I'll be right back. Jody's got some paperwork.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Lohr. I'm the FinCom Chair. I would like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, April 15th of 2026 at 7 p.m. Before we get started, I'd like to have all the members introduce themselves. Starting off to my far left.
Brett Hausler.
Jen Zaretsky.
Michael Crone.
Mark Johnson.
Peter Berube.
Eric Marthinson.
Perfect, thank you.
Joyce Boyardi.
I'd like to remind everyone,
And
I
Heidi.
don't have a mic actually.
Heidi Gilmore is,
They said to share them.
Heidi Gilmore is on video.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Heidi. Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not getting any sound.
Okay.
Now I
Can you hear it now?
got it now.
Okay.
Yep,
It's probably the dial-up connection you have wherever you are. Anyway, I'd like to remind everyone that there are many ways to access this Finance Committee meeting and the material. You can watch it on your local access channel at home on Comcast Channel 6, Verizon Channel 38. You can also go to the millismedia.org website, and it's also being live streamed on YouTube. And just like the other boards and committees, you can attend in person if you wish. Last, all the material that we reviewed during the meeting can be found on the Millis website under the Finance Committee webpage. As a final reminder to all of our members as well as our guests, when you talk into the microphone, please be 4 inches away from it so that we can properly record it. Tonight we have a full agenda, starting off with Public Works. Are they coming tonight? We're going to pass that over tonight. So does that impact anything for town meeting or not?
No, I can
Go ahead.
I can provide some additional context.
Come on down.
Essentially, this.
Four,
the mic a little
4
closer.
inches.
Sorry.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, here we go. So essentially, in working with the DPW director, this is not going to require a reserve fund transfer. We put it on the agenda just in case, but we actually don't need to leverage that mechanism, so we're not in need of that this evening.
Okay, thanks for that
Thanks
update.
for your willingness.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, we'll shift gears and go into the May 2026 town meeting warrant article review and discussion. I know Mike Gazinski is here, and he's going to walk us through that. But before we do that, I'd like to call Nicole Riley from the Planning Board up to talk about Article 17. She's not officially on the agenda, but she falls under the warrant review. So we've been trying to get you folks in here, and we had a chit-chat earlier today. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you, Mr. Lohr?
Good. If you could give a 30,000-foot overview of Article 17, which is the bylaws, definitions, and table.
Absolutely. Nicole Riley, Planning Board, and I'm also the chair of the Zoning Bylaw Review Committee. We have presented for this town meeting 2 use definitions and additions to the use table. Battery energy storage systems are a new big plug for the state of Massachusetts for part of the Clean Energy Act. And in true Massachusetts government fashion, they have pushed through their policy. They've established a streamlined permitting process for this industry and have left it for the towns to kind of throw their hands up and go, great, how do we implement this in our town? We've had discussions with town council and begun discussions with the Energy Committee. And what we've learned is that there wasn't enough time for us to create a bylaw to address this in time for the Springtown meeting. But as I said, the permitting process is already been approved by the state. So what our committee is hoping to do at town meeting is just really considered a first step. Defining what a battery energy storage system is, and then adding 2 columns onto our use table, numbers 21 and 22, which will locate where these systems can go. This is, in Massachusetts, if you don't zone it somewhere, the industry can go anywhere. there is argument, and if we tried to prevent it, we would lose in court. So what we're looking to do at the moment is get some sort of control while we now work with the Energy Committee and with Town Council to develop a full bylaw. If any of you have any interest in how that would work, we have general regulations for special permits, and then there are certain industries that have specific bylaws for a special permit for that industry. In particular, we have the large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic, which I always mess up, installations. Basically, those are the solar farms that you see. We limit those in Massachusetts, in Millis, to the industrial zone and to agricultural land that meets a very specific regulations under the, I think it's under the EPA. And those are the only places that you can have these systems, these ground-mounted solar farms. So what we're looking to do is, for the moment, for tiers 2 and 3, actually I'll backtrack 1 second, these storage systems are described, they are defined under the state regulations as tier 1, 2, and 3, and that's based upon the size. Tier 1 is pretty much something that you would attach to your house if you have solar panels or if you have a business that has solar panels. And that's just to store the excess energy that you create. Those are small, and those are going to be permitted anywhere in the town, just as the solar, roof panels are allowed anywhere in town. Tiers 2 and 3, which are larger, would fall into these solar farms, which is not the proper term, that's just the term that I'm using. So what we're looking to do is momentarily limit those by special permit to the industrial and industrial 2 zones. Once this is passed and once we get past town meeting and we're able to work with the Energy Committee and with Town Council, our hope is to get a bylaw prepared that we can go forward in the fall, and that will be much more specific. One thing that actually came up in the planning board's public hearing about this is the potential for putting these sort of storage systems down by the ice rink, the hockey rink, along the high tension wires, because that's a location that these systems often, you find them. Those are residential, so if we determine that those are actually suitable for these, we may consider creating an overlay district. But this is just to protect us from now until then, because technically tomorrow someone could come in and under the state's permitting process, start that and be able to put it wherever they want. We went through the same thing with the ADUs. We went through the same process with marijuana, with the MBTA bylaws, where the state said, this is what we want, you guys figure out how to do it. Now, we did have a couple of ADUs that got building permits before the zoning bylaw was put in. It's not really affecting the neighborhood. It's a small attached unit. Having a tier 2 or tier 3 battery storage facility next to your home could really affect you.
Yep.
So that's our goal. Now with the data storage center, the thought process is exactly the same. Data storage centers are these huge facilities that are utilized for storing the data that we all need for AI, for our phones and whatnot. There are communities in Massachusetts that are establishing moratoriums on this industry because of the implications and the possible detriment to the communities that have them. They utilize an outrageous amount of electricity and an outrageous amount of water. And there are communities that have these facilities that are finding the residences, the properties surrounding these businesses are actually suffering brownouts. They're suffering water issues. When the water is drawn for cooling these facilities, there's a lack of water flow in the surrounding properties. So again, we want to define what it is, which is based under the state regulations. That's where we took these definitions, and locate them minimally, because under Chapter 40A, we cannot just outright say, it's called the Dover Amendment. You really can't just say, yeah, no, we don't want those here. Those aren't. We don't like that for our town, so we don't want them. So we're trying to limit where it could be until we have the time to do the research that's necessary, because they, again, are new industries, and we can get bylaws in place.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Brett.
Thank you for coming out tonight and giving that explanation. Regarding the data storage centers and the moratorium that may or may not be in place, are you aware of the towns surrounding Millis that may have a moratorium on the
No.
data?
No, Lowell and I want to say the town is Suttonburg. That may not be the right, it's a town way out in the western part of the state, and they have each put in one-year moratoriums. We are not in a position where we feel, one, that's necessary, or two, that the Attorney General would approve. So we haven't proposed that. And that would actually be something that would have to come from the Select Board. In both of those communities, there are, in Lowell, for example, there's one that they were looking to expand. There was one in Westfield, although I don't think they have a moratorium, but it's been 3 or 4 years in trying to expand this, and the Select Board is finding that all the promises that were made are really not going to come to fruition. So, no, we don't feel that we have the need for it or the justification that the Attorney General would approve it. All zoning bylaws, once they're passed at town meeting, have to be approved by the Attorney General's office. And we're 99.9% sure that if we tried to do a moratorium, it would be turned down.
Just want to
Yeah,
ask
go ahead.
one quick follow-up. So the general understanding that you have today is that for towns in our region, or most towns in the state, are doing this. We're trying to define it and also put some.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Joyce.
Thank you. So if somebody wanted to put,
Need your mic.
oh, so sorry. Thank you. Long day. I've been telling you about that. So if somebody was putting a ground-mounted solar system in their own yard, they would have to be Tier 1.
That would not constitute what you would put in your yard would not be a ground-mounted, you wouldn't have a solar farm.
No, not as a solar farm, but they could put a ground tap.
No, what you have on your residence, these ground-mounted photovoltaic installations are not allowed under our current bylaws in residential. They're only allowed in the IP districts and well, I take that back. They're allowed in residential
Right.
districts that fall under the this specific regulation of agricultural property.
So the 15 acres?
Yes, it's 15 contiguous acres that is primary or directly used for agricultural purposes under Chapter 61A, or horticultural purposes.
I know I'm going off a little bit, but what about those that are put on, like, I'll call it a gazebo? It's not a gazebo, but what are those things called? Say a roof, but not your house roof, but it's a roof.
The canopies.
Canopies.
Those-
Those are residentially allowed, and would they stay with the Tier 1?
Those are generally, well, it's not that those are Tier 1 as it is the battery backup system is defined as a Tier 1, Tier 2, or
Okay.
Tier 3. And those tiers are based upon the energy capacity.
Okay.
So a Tier 1 is anything less than 250 kilowatt hours. Generally speaking, that's a storage system that would be about 8 by 10 feet. It's, it's not tiny. It could be smaller. It also, the Tesla backup batteries that
Yes.
you could attach to your house, those would be considered a Tier 1.
Okay, that's a Tier 1.
So it's not so much, like on 109, there's a couple of canopy at the old Colt building. There's a
Right.
canopy system. And it's not so much what that system is as it would be the size of the storage center. The
Gotcha.
storage service.
Okay, thank you.
As to how much they would want to be storing there.
And tier 2 and tier 3 are for industrial IP 1 and 2 locations,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Versus residential.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as I said, we may, it was brought up by Peter Harkey, talking about the property down along the power lines, because that's another location that they like to have these battery backups, so that there's an equal draw of this, of the solar or electric energy. So if they're, they can draw from that battery and everything kind of stays the same. I'm learning more about this than I really ever wanted to.
You are the expert.
No, not at all, not at all. I would have to defer to the Energy Committee. So
So-
we will we will look into whether that property is suitable, considering setbacks, considering the neighborhoods, considering the floodplains, and if we feel it is, then we may find that instead of defining this by zoning district, that it's better to do an overlay district, which is what we did for the the MBTA multifamily. Instead of saying this spot, we were able to, an overlay district allows us to more pick and choose where we find it's best without the state saying they don't get as upset, basically.
Go ahead.
So do we still need a special permit for the tier 1 in the residential, or if it's permitted, it's
it's-
automated?
Correct.
Okay.
So for tier 1, it can go anywhere. It does not require any permitting or any approval from the planning board. You would just go to the building department and get whatever building permits you need for that.
And do you happen to know what the largest kilowatt hour BESS system in Millis currently is?
No, I would have to defer to the Energy Committee.
Okay. And last question, is there any way to bifurcate out the tier 1, not going up to 250 kilowatt hours? Because that's pretty sizable for a residential area. And there is a instance of, possibility for thermal events. So it kind of opens up liability if it's in a highly residential area to have possible fire risk.
We went with the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and the energy capacities, because that's what the Department of Energy Resources has defined on this special permitting, this new fast-track permitting system. So
Okay.
we have gone with their definitions.
Okay, so this is a temporary,
We will look in and see, I do know that there's one town, and I apologize, I didn't bring all of those notes, so I don't remember what town it is. There is one town that actually does have 4 tiers. But I don't know, I just remember there's one town that has done it as 4.
Okay.
We can look at that. There are, fire requirements, building requirements that a homeowner would have to go through, but,
Yeah.
we're at the moment, again, so that the Attorney General's office doesn't throw this out completely, we're using the guidelines from the DEOR, or,
Yeah.
DOER.
Department of, yeah.
Energy Resources. They
Not-
keep
not
changing
Department of
their
Revenue.
names. Yeah, no,
It
they
is
keep
tax
changing
day
their
today.
names. so.
So this is the first step to have this article and get definitions into the bylaws, including amending Table 5. And then the next step at a future town meeting will be to develop a bylaw that answers some of these questions tonight
Yes.
and gives us more clarity in terms of what it actually involves if a battery storage center or the battery backup is implemented somewhere.
Yes, under Chapter 40A, we cannot prevent them from being here. That would be considered a violation of the Dover Amendment.
Right.
So, it is possible to not do this first step. It is possible to just go straight into working on a bylaw. But there is a concern that,
It doesn't make sense, though.
no,
You need
it's-
to have
if I happen to have 12 acres of
Yeah.
land, and I can fit it, and I go through the state permitting process, and I get done before my neighbors wouldn't be happy with me, but I could potentially put it in on Village Street. And as we know, on 109, there are a lot of unhappy residents. And that's an even bigger system, which would take years to deal with. And
Yeah.
but this is literally just step one.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nicole, for coming in
My
tonight.
pleasure.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
All right, Mike Kaczynski. We're now going to go to the town meeting warrant articles review and discussion. So this is,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have too many more updates this evening.
all right, you may want to get the mic a little closer, that's all.
My apologies.
Mic to mic.
Mike and the mic.
Yep,
I don't have too many more updates this evening on the actual articles, but if you want to take either a run through them, or if there's several you want to talk about a little bit, whatever is most effective for the committee.
I know we have one question that we were talking about earlier here. Does anyone have any questions? Article 1, 2, 3, or?
I had a question
Go ahead.
specific to mine, but it can wait unless now really is the time for that.
Yeah, so,
And I did also send out, I sent out motions yesterday, and then I sent out some slightly adjusted motions today. So those, and I think.
the adjusted motions are in the
pack.
packet, right? Yeah, thank you.
So those should be the final motions unless there are any surprises, which I hope we don't have any. But the motions you have now should be the final motions that you can work with for the town meeting.
Yeah, so let's just rifle through this, and then Jody, we're going to weave you in on Article 3 here in a minute, if not before. So does anyone have any questions on Article 1? Article 2? Go ahead.
For expediency, since there's nothing on Article 1, I move that the committee vote to approve Article 1 as written.
Ooh, that's good. Everybody up for that? Oh, I like that. Pete, good job.
I missed it. What happened?
I know.
Amanda?
You missed a lot between that coming up here?
I really did.
Yeah.
I really did.
Okay, so who's Article 1? You're Article 1.
You
Been
stole
moved
my,
and seconded.
Hang on. Let Mark have the floor here. All right, so there's no further discussion on Article 1. Mark, this is your article. Why don't you go through the motion?
the motion's been made and seconded. I'm
True.
fine with that.
True. So,
Discussion.
yeah, no discussion. I guess point of order, so we don't have to go through FinCom recommends,
That's what I
because
said.
we just did. Yeah, yep, discussion, understood. It's been 6 months. I'm just trying to- Getting the dust off. All right, no discussion? Nope. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got that, Amanda? Any opposed?
You have to get Heidi's vote.
Heidi's.
Heidi?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm bouncing around between pages here. Article 2.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that the committee vote to recommend dismissal of Article 2.
Seconded?
It's been recommended seconded to dismiss Article 2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Passes.
No discussion.
Is there any, I already voted. There's no discussion. Article 3. This is my article. I recommend,
No, you don't have to, you don't have to do that.
no, but I want to bring it into discussion, though.
Okay, it's up to you.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can discuss it without discussion.
I like that. Actually, let's, Jody, sorry for bouncing around here a little bit.
Good.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, no, all good. Please, since this is the first time we're going through the budget as a committee, could you just walk us through at a 30,000 feet level
Yeah,
of what that
absolutely.
looks like?
Sure. So where we left off last with the budget, just to give us our starting point, our baseline is we started off with this a couple
Yes.
of weeks back. You can kind of tuck that off to the side in your memory there. And what we'll do is we'll drill down on two core documents that are supporting the general fund budget. One is your one-page revenue summary. And then your other pages are, there's about 6 pages there, and that documents salaries and expenses across the rest of the general fund budget. So all of your revenues are gonna tie out to your expenditures, which gives us a balanced budget. I talk a lot about this in terms of revenues. We
The
talk
revenue
about-
page?
Yep, revenue page, we'll kind of run through this.
Amanda, is this in here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, towards the back.
All right, thank you. I'm on page 80, I'm on page 69.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the revenues,
Page 80.
again, really just high level here. Draw
Yep.
your attention to the green column all the way to the right. That is what is budgeted for FY '27. We're looking at our local levy. That's the first section of our tax base, or our revenue base, rather, is our tax levy. State aid is in the next section, and we follow that by local receipts. We then get down to other available funds, which I can answer any specific questions, but these are essentially any revenues that are available elsewhere that sit already in our general fund that we can transfer to fund the operating budget. Enterprise indirect costs are exactly what they say. They are costs associated with running the enterprise funds that get charged back, and those charges go back to the general fund. Then we have 2 small subsets of funding, one being school choice and one being library state aid. Both of these are referenced as offsets, which essentially mean that we get the money from the state, but it's already offset to be earmarked for something else, so we can't use it towards our general fund operating budget. School choice goes directly to the school, library state aid goes directly to the library. And then we have an allowance for overlay. Overlay is controlled by our assessor, our board of assessors, really. And that is an allowance for abatements and exemptions and things that we do to,
Have to give money back.
Exactly, and it also, the bigger picture overlay account balance is required to be able to cover our outstanding receivables. So that would be any delinquent taxes, anything in tax title. So we're on our way to where we need to be with that. So that $300,000 will help us mitigate anything in the current year, plus put a little bit of money into the overlay surplus. So that really makes up our revenue picture. From the top down, you'll see pretty common, theme there with numbers. You'll also see state aid, as I mentioned. Keep an eye on that one, because we'll talk about that when we get to the expenditure side. State aid rises, but so do the expenses associated, so our state aid essentially is flat.
you want to talk about state aid when we get to that side?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can get to that, yep. Does anyone have any general questions about revenues or anything you've had a chance to take a look at? Okay. Moving
we're good.
on to expenditures.
Yep.
Our general fund is broken down into 8 parts. We have general government, public safety, the Millis Public School System, Tri-County, DPW, Health and Human Services, Culture and Rec, and then debt. So within each of these sections, you'll see, I'll draw your attention to that year-over-year variance. You'll see, on average, we're between 3 and 5%. In some cases, actually 3 and 6%, but it just depends on the budget. I'll explain a little bit of that. But as members, you're probably looking at variances, as I would be if I were on the FinCom. You'll notice that there's some outlandish numbers there if you just looked at them by themselves and saying, what the heck happened here? So for a couple of these, I'll give you an example. TA Select Board budget. We took out $35,000 right off the top of that budget to take the auditing services out of their purview and putting it into the finance department's budget, because essentially I manage the auditors and, obviously can sign off on their progress, et cetera. So it was a more streamlined way to handle that. So we pulled that out of the TA's budget. The other thing is we were able to fund some of the human resources responsibilities, and they did not have an expenditure budget last year, so we were able to pull over not only some expenditure money for recruiting, for physicals, things like that, that were relative to human resources, but we were able to pull those duties and responsibilities, and therefore, the budget dollars typically associated with that. We also pulled out salary from the TA's budget as well. So all of these things cause those big swings and shifts where they're not really indicative of a true swing, if you will. I do have a crosswalk that was created, but I didn't want to overkill with the budget money moves, but I can tell you that it went from 35,000 to 35,000, 2,200 to 2,200. And so everything was a one-for-one move, but that explains a lot of that. The other thing I'll draw your attention to, that was a question asked by the select board, so I'll get ahead of it on this one. If you look at Select Board, General Government, and you'll notice this on the next page at Public Safety, that above-level service request is included in that blue column. So it's the total proposed budget for salaries and expenses is reflective of that additional 35,000 that was above-level service approved. Does that make sense?
And that's
So-
It does, but where's it
35,000.
located? You're going from select board to what?
That's okay. Yeah,
Public
all-
safety?
Yep, no. Select board right
Yeah,
here, all
I
the
see
way
it.
to this 30,000 over here.
Uh-huh.
So this just 35,000.
Yeah.
This just identifies for you guys, in this budget year, this is what we approved for above-level service.
Correct.
But it is included in that center column
And the
total.
496, it's included in that.
Yep.
Correct.
And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
That's
social
all.
worker.
Yep.
Yeah.
I follow.
Yep, so
that
at
makes
town
sense.
meeting, that will be what's voted on, is salaries and expenses. It's just meant to sort of give you a reminder of where that above-level service goes.
Understood.
Yep,
Appreciate
Well, the
it.
two columns on the far right are
Yep.
informational.
Correct.
They're not part of the totals, you'll see. Yeah,
Right.
They are included in the totals.
right,
Right, but we'll have these in the FinCom report as well as the
100%.
warrant,
Yes, the totals will be in the FinCom report.
FinCom report.
Yeah, the above-level service or HCA will not.
Yeah.
Those pink and blue columns will not. You'll just have a sort of a black and white rundown of
Yeah.
everything from actuals to adopted last year, proposed this year.
Yeah.
Yep. So as you flip through each department, again, you're gonna see some of those over and unders. I probably could tell you off the top of my head, what happened in which department, just because I've been,
So why don't we just kind of rifle through some of the bigger ones like
Yeah.
human resources, 41.7%?
yep. Again, the major driver there was moving two salaries out of the select board budget, actually one salary, and contractual increases there, plus another $13,200 from nothing went in that account. And again, a lot of that money came from the TA's budget, so it was
So
just a money move.
A little further explanation.
Mhm.
So, one of the folks in my office, we didn't know if this was gonna pass last year, the human resource, so we didn't wanna make it too complicated by
Yep.
moving everything over in year one in case it didn't pass.
Yep.
So there was a position in my office that was providing office support. That position is now totally working on human resource support, so therefore, that no longer belongs in technically the select board TA budget. It should be in the human resources budget, and we just made that move. And a few of the expense line items like advertising, recruitment, physicals, things that cost money that are part of the human resource function, those expenses have been moved over to the human resource department. So I thought it was Jody was referring to about the other 13,000 and change that's been moved over.
Go ahead, Joyce.
So does this oh, my apologies again. Does this reflect the possibility of hiring the replacement human resource?
Yes,
Yes.
it's all
Okay.
in there, yeah.
So you do intend on doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions as we go through?
I'll take your lead on what you'd like to look at next.
I've eyeballed it a little bit, but I don't have anything. Why don't we jump down, let people jump in if they have questions or let me know, but why don't we jump down to page 4, Tri-County, negative 37%.
Yep. So what this accounts for is two things. So last year, we had a choice on how we wanted to handle Tri-County and the debt.
Yep.
It wasn't part of our operating budget, but we were going to fund it through free cash as a policy decision. And what we did last year is we put it in the budget, but then had to transfer money into the budget to pay that particular debt. One of the things I really tried to do this year is simplify and streamline to the best of my ability. And in doing so, it made sense to eliminate that from our operating budget because we're not paying for it out of our operating budget. Yes, we can transfer the funds in to pay for it. It just creates more comings and goings. And so the cleanest path to handle Tri-County right now is to pay the assessment out of the article that we've funded as Tri-County reserves. So 348,075 of that 434,576 that was reduced was strictly because we took that out of the operating budget, if that makes sense. The other savings of about just over $100,000 was a true savings in the overall assessment, the operational assessment for Tri-County. And that was driven by our headcount went down by 6 students. So that explains the full reduction there.
So
Go ahead.
it's Article 11, basically, is what you're saying. Article 11 covers that.
Is
Article 11 is
Tri-County
Tri-County, I
article?
believe, yes.
Yes.
If article, yes, I'm sorry, I don't have the warrant in front of me, but yes, if
Yeah.
it's a Tri-County article, yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's about $1 million something that you put.
Million
into-
Million
70,000. And that'll
$70,000.
cover several
2 or 3
years.
years.
yes.
Yeah, I'd estimate about 2.5
Yeah.
to 3
Yeah,
years.
okay.
Perfect.
You-
Go
Can I
ahead.
just ask one other
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
Are we mentioning the dollar amount in our motions? I didn't look.
Yeah, they're in there.
As far as the assessment goes for
No,
Tri-County?
As far as the amount going into that warrant article.
Yes, it is,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
is in the
Because I
It's in the
didn't
motion.
see it
motion.
in
Yes.
the article itself.
Right, it's
Nope,
in the
it's in the
motion.
motion.
It's in the motion
Yes.
itself. Okay, so it's not in
One-
the article, but it will be in
Yeah,
the
it's
motion.
in the motion, it's $1,070,000.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about this one too is that last year we established the fund, so this is just an article funding anytime we would like.
Oh, so it was established last year?
Yes, we did that last year.
I don't have any questions until we get maybe to the end of the expenses here.
So we're looking at page 6?
So
Oh.
page 6 works for me. Does that work for you? Or do you want to talk about debt service at all, or chapter 70 funding, or is that on the last page?
Yeah, so I
Your call.
don't have a whole lot about Chapter 70 funding. More so that would be the school.
Yeah.
But as far as our debt service has been reduced slightly, but we did also account for a small short-term debt interest-only payment for next year because, as mentioned in one of our previous meetings together, we're starting to borrow for the middle school, high school renovation project. We're
Yep.
going out to market in May for a bond offering for about $6 million. And we anticipate some borrowing repayment within the next fiscal year. So we budgeted that in. That's going to be about $299,000, $249,000 to $299,000. So that's also factored into our debt service for this year. Everything else is existing debt that we've just been paying down. We have had no net new debt since the new borrowing authorization for the middle school, high
So
school.
the negative 5% is just natural paying back,
Correct.
paying down.
Correct. And it would have been more if we didn't have another payment for the new project, but it certainly has been reduced.
Yep. How about quick overview of discretionary, non-discretionary,
Absolutely.
and all these
So-
lines here?
I'm glad you asked. So page 6 is really just a nice summary of the budget as a whole. If we talk about non-discretionary, I'll kind of tie that one out first because then it'll just naturally tell you what discretionary is. So when we work with the school to make sure that the town needs are met, the school needs are met, et cetera, we try to stay within a 4% cap of budget growth year over year, something that's sustainable but also, makes sense to be able to help mitigate some of the rising costs, et cetera. So in doing the budget this year, we stated a 3.5% cap. And when that calculation is made, it excludes certain things that are either shared services or shared expenses. So if you look at the non-discretionary column all the way to your left in the descriptor, we consider non-discretionary items as items, again, that we share or share the expenses on with the school. So that includes general insurance, employee benefits, the tri-county schools, any debt, human resources, and the school resource officer. I don't know if you want to talk any more about that in relation to discussions with the superintendent or just,
No,
it's an
that- I
agreed
mean,
upon
that covered
approach.
it.
Yeah.
We've had extensive discussions with the school superintendent about these items, and we're in agreement that these are the excluded items. As Jody mentioned, specifically, we've discussed the school resource officer, human resources, the social worker. Those are all neither classified as specifically municipal or schools. They're basically excluded from that. So that's why they kind of wind up in that general item.
Right. So if you look at everything else becomes discretionary. So it's the rest of the budget. So if you take those two numbers together, you're going to total our overall operating budget. And then further, if you take the town budget, school budget, plus non-discretionary, that's going to come up with your overall operating budget as well.
Gotcha.
So we have a 3.5% increase on the town side and the school side. We have a 2% increase of our budget overall, and a 2% overall growth in our revenues to cover our budget growth.
You just want to add any commentary around the cherry sheet assessment, or?
Oh, sure, sorry about that. So if you look at the number smack dab in the middle of the page, total revenues at the 48 million.
Yep,
637,090.
Yep.
And you go back to your revenue page,
yep,
all the way at the bottom of the revenue page, it says in the very bottom right corner, it tells us what all of our available revenues are. Okay? So it says that we have 48,637,090, right?
Yep.
Except we also have to pay our cherry sheet assessments. The reason that's recorded on the expenditure side is because it's listed and accounted for as an expenditure. So therefore, total revenues less what we have to pay through state aid, or through the cherry sheet assessments rather, which gives us basically a net total available revenue, and that's what we tie out our expenditure budget to.
thoughts, questions?
So just a final note on the, if I can.
Yeah,
Mr.
please do.
Chairman, On state aid. That's a process. We usually don't have the final state aid number sometimes till mid-June or even July. The latest, the governor submitted a budget that had $75 additional per student, plus I think a little over 2% in UGA aid, unrestricted general government aid. The House just came out with their budget earlier today. They've increased the per student up to $160, which is good news, but they cut down our UGA aid down to less than 1%. So they give a little bit, they take a little bit. It didn't really change the bottom line for us very much. The MMA had requested a $350 million increase in UGA aid, which would have really right-sided us from all the cuts they've made since 2004, I think. They've basically either cut or very small increases, and instead of the 351, they put in 10. So not nearly what was requested. It still has a ways to go. There's still a chance it could come up a little bit, but we're not expecting to get any windfall from the state this year by any means. So we've basically level funded that for the most part in our estimates.
We'll probably continue that way.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I move that the Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 3 as written.
Seconded?
It's been motion and approved to have Article 3 as written, approve Article 3 as written. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain. Passes unanimously. All right, moving along to Article 4. Who do we got? Pete?
One moment.
Sure.
Thank you. I move that the committee vote to approve Article 4 as written.
Seconded?
And it's been motion to approve Article 4 as written and seconded. Discussion.
Jody, if you wouldn't mind just going over the enterprise worksheet for that?
Sure.
Just to see if there's any changes.
Sure. So we'll kind of, we'll go top to bottom. So on the enterprise funds, for those of you that are not super familiar with them, they're run as their own little entity. So you'll have revenues specific to the sewer, water, and stormwater enterprise funds. So a lot of what you see here, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes calculations that goes into making sure that we're projecting our revenues appropriately. 2 to 3 times a year, actually, we take a look at this at different times of the year for different purposes, but it all comes together when there's a rate setting hearing, when we actually do the tax rate for the town, and then when we look at the budgets, and then when we close out budgets. So there's multiple times that we look through it. We're keeping our bank account interest relatively flat. A lot of these things are relatively flat just because we didn't have to necessarily raise our revenues a whole bunch. I will stay flat or slightly above as needed, but unless our expenditures move dramatically and there's a need to increase revenues in a justifiable way, I'll typically keep those as flat as we can. Anything above and beyond that we collect in revenues essentially goes to the enterprise funds version of our free cash, which is retained earnings, and they'll stay within those funds. A lot of times when we project entrance fees, utility usage charges, et cetera, they're based on analytics from previous years or permits and things where we know tie-ins are going to happen. So we're very much in consultation. This is typically a DPW function, but there's been some transitions, so we've stepped in there to kind of help with these. But we'll also work with the building department to make sure that we're very much in the know around the things that are happening, the projects and what stages they're at, so that we can more accurately project, okay, well, does this make sense to be flat like last year? But there's not the projects that there were last year, right? So we'd have maybe sewer entrance fees lessening, or vice versa. Maybe there's a pop of projects that's coming online. I'm taking a moment to explain this because this is going to be the same for water and then stormwater, just so you guys know. But if there are questions, please stop me. Again, relative to the expenditure budgets with sewer, the first whole section is contractual. So the biggest thing you're going to notice this year with enterprise budgets across the board, and the DPW director did a great job a week or so ago explaining that the fundamental right sizing of staffing, both on the general fund side and on the enterprise fund side, was happening. And we were able to sort of reasonably predict and project based on proposed new splits. And when I say that, what I mean is Joe works at the DPW for 25% of his time, and then 25% at the sewer station, then, stormwater, water, and that's kind of his split. So when we pay his salary, we split it 4 ways. The staff from head to toe is split across all of these entities for the most part. So we were able to project salary information, and you'll notice that within the DPW budget, if you go back and take a look, there was a reduction to some of the salaries within the DPW. But then you'll look at the enterprise funds and you'll see that the salaries went up. Again, it's not an exact swap because you had some contractual increases in there, but you'll notice that the bulk of that, like if it's $45,000, it moved here and it went over here. So you'll see some of that throughout. So if you see a big difference, part of that is driven by those factors.
And I think it's important to note that, for instance, the DPW director is a town employee, and it's not that he's working for 3 separate entities.
Correct.
But that his salary is split between 3 separate entities, but he's a town employee.
Absolutely, absolutely. As are they all,
Yes,
right?
they're all
The
employees.
the entire team is. The next few things, again, top to bottom expenses on all of these funds. There was nothing really crazy within the sewer fund that was different from previous years. The only thing that did change, or expectations, were the CRPCD assessment, and that's completely the Charles River Pollution District assessment. Much like we get, assessments for mosquitoes and other things, this falls into those same lines. And we were, these numbers actually came directly from the DPW, and I saw the assessment paper, so we're good with that. And then the rest of the information down here is pretty standard. Enterprise indirects changes year to year. Long-term debt and interest also changes year to year based on obligations. But other than that, there's really not a lot to unpack here on expenses that are different. And then, of course, not often, but this year there were no articles requested for enterprise sewer, actually any enterprise, but we're on sewer. So you'll look at the total budget of 1.8 million, and you'll see that the revenues match the anticipated expenditures, which gives us a balanced budget.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Jody, could you go over just the biggest difference I see between 26 and 27 is the wages line?
Yep.
The 167 up to 235.
So Without getting into very specifics, because I don't have the paperwork with me, but we had different splits from FY '26 into FY '27. So FY '26 was based on a resource allocation and a salary justification of $167,000. I can tell you with certainty that that increased, so this isn't a contractual increase only. There is a slight, and again, without getting into, because we're actively in negotiation, but we did put some assumptions in our numbers as far as contractual things go. But this does have to do with an increase of resources in addition to that. The exact number I can get, just not right this second.
When you say addition of increase of resources,
Yes.
are you talking additional personnel or additional compensation or some personnel expense?
I would say it's a combination.
It's definitely
and-
a combination, but
as-
more on the allocation part.
Yeah, as Jody had mentioned as well, it's the DPW collective bargaining agreement is the only one that's still under negotiation.
Oh, where?
And we expect that to be concluded hopefully over the summer. So we're trying to estimate, there's some estimation in there based on what the results of those negotiations would be, but that's one piece, but the other pieces are what Jody had outlined. And we're hoping this will cover it, and we're not going to need any additional adjustments at the fall town
Right,
meeting.
and if we also remember back to last year, we added a heavy equipment operator that supported mostly the general fund. So again, this allowed us to sort of reposition resources across arguably where they should have been allocated, right? So this has allowed us to be able to do that. And like I said, it reflects mostly the distribution of resources and a little bit of contractual buffer.
Right, we're looking at a little bit at the restructuring of the department as part of the collective bargaining discussions, but that's really as deep into it as I can go here. So.
One more quick follow-on.
Yeah, go ahead.
It looks like in the sewer enterprise that you've successfully fought off inflation, unlike any other department, because there's really little to no inflation on a number of these, like fuel, electricity, there's no increase. Is that realistic?
Yes, and I say that very lovingly. It's realistic in the footprint of looking at the analysis of previous years' expenditures, as well as projecting out into, what our spend rates were for '26, as well as what we anticipate in '27. So I think that these are sort of getting right-sized a little bit as we go, but yes, we're comfortable.
So would that assume that we over-budgeted in some of those in prior years?
I'm not sure over budgeted.
I think we're able to do a little more fine tuning this year, so it's really that. And as always, we try to be frugal with the actual expenditure of these funds while trying to make sure we have enough in those accounts. But based on the experience, as Jody said, over the last year or two, we think those numbers are sufficient.
I think, like if you look at services engineering, there's a line there that goes from $263 in '24 up to $45,000 in '26. And same thing is requested in '27. That's a line that probably can get split out, that the department can do on their own.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point, because as we're going through this and we've had some changeover in staff and that sort of thing, we do talk to our department heads and have them go back to make sure that the way that they're expending their funds are in line with what the spirit of the account is. I think that it's just that ongoing training and education to make sure people understand that you can, if your electricity bill was $5,000 more than it was supposed to be this year, that's okay, but spend it out of electricity, don't spend it out of supplies, because that helps us budget and understand trends so that we can budget proper for the next year. So again, every year we look at this, we're gonna continue to fine tune. We may reclassify expenses that were billed somewhere during the year, and then we say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. It looks like you're gonna have $18,000 left in your budget. Oh, wait a minute, that shouldn't have gone there. This should have been charged to this, and this okay, well, let's go do that and make it right. So there's a little bit of that happens over time as well.
Go ahead,
Just
Brett.
Not a question, but more so for you, Mr. Chair. I would love at some point to hear a little more about our BTA, or budget to actuals, conversations that we have in town, and because that ultimately is what is informing the budget numbers, and then we all have to have a conversation about whether or not we, agree, I guess, or believe in those numbers as well. And so I'm fascinated by that and would love that conversation at some point.
Sure, sounds good. Any further discussion? Okay, it has been recommended and properly seconded to approve Article 4 as written. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? It passes 9-0. Heidi, thank you for chiming in, and chime in when you can. We're watching you, I just don't see you or hear you sometimes. Moving on to Article 5.
Mr. Chair, I move that the committee vote to recommend approval of Article 5 as written.
Seconded?
It has been recommended to approve Article 5 as written, properly seconded. Discussion.
So there's a number of, we should do the same thing, just quicker, because
Yep.
we understand, we get it. That's not a critique on you. You're very informative, and the water enterprise budget is basically the same principles.
Yeah, if you, do you have any particular ones? Because I have one I can call out.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the biggest one here, you'll notice about a $200,000 swing in the reserve fund. This last year, when this was submitted, there was about $200,000 that was put in the wrong spot. And so this is just fixing where that spot is. So the revenues were reduced by the amount of the overage that was put in reserves last year. So we right-sized that to be a correct number of $50,000, which is a healthy amount to have in a reserve fund.
Jody, specifically, where is that?
Sorry, that is on the expenditure side, so this would be the second page of the water enterprise budget, about halfway down.
Yeah.
The line item for reserve fund.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other highlights that you want to point out, Jody?
Let me just run through real quick. Again, just based on spend history, we did increase supplies and expenses a bit. That particular line item, just as kind of a general rule, I like to delineate a little bit more, and so we'll get there. We'll work on that over time, just to make sure that everything, I don't know what this is, it's a supply, right? So we're gonna continue to evolve that and split that out as best we can, but sometimes it's just, these are shop supplies, these are filters, these are, the things that are needed to run the water enterprise fund. So I'm comfortable with everything as presented.
Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 5 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Passes. Thank you. Article 6.
Mr. Chair, I move that the committee vote to recommend Article 6 as written.
It's been recommended to approve Article 6 and properly seconded as written. Discussion.
Maybe if we could have another brief overview of the
Yeah,
budget.
that'd be good, actually.
Thank you.
Okay, so, let me just see. So really, the only really operational change here was to take uniform cleaning out of an expense line item and put it where it belonged in a salary line item. It's contractual, it's part of the collective bargaining. It gets paid out as a salary, as compensation, so that's really where it belongs. So you'll see that zeroed out from previous years, and a new line item is above. The other things that we did is, again, right-sized, if somebody increases their hours based on a new hire, well, there's not as much of a need for overtime because that person's already full-time, right? So it's like finding all these little things in the budget that when we make a change, well, what are the trickle-down effects and where can we look and make sure that those things were accounted for as well. Everything else was pretty on par with, what was actually spent, in 25. And then adopted in 26. So we took all of those things into consideration, along with what the department requested, worked with them to kind of understand everything and get to where the TA proposed the numbers in the blue. So I am also comfortable with this budget.
Go ahead, Brett. Yep,
Yeah,
of course.
So connecting some dots, knowing that now I see clothing, uniform cleaning has moved to personnel. When you look at the top level, that has now increased by $5,000, which of course is
Right.
planned for. If I had no idea and we didn't have this conversation, I would look at that number and see that the
Exactly. Yep.
personnel salary line has increased.
Right.
Is that something that we should just be including in any article description when, in the discussion to ensure there's clarity there?
I'll leave that to the discretion
No?
of your board. I think sometimes when you, my personal
Go
opinion.
ahead.
Just diving into the weeds can be more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly am open to anybody's questions at any time, public meeting on the floor. Maybe it's a conversation on the side for that
Yeah.
individual or individuals, but I'm open to anything. I work for
We can
for
leave
the
it at that.
townspeople, so
Yeah.
whatever they need.
So
Yeah.
with all articles, including this one, start at 30,000?
Yeah.
If there's more questions, come down to 20, but don't go down to 10 right
So
away.
it's more of a backup point as opposed, yeah.
And if someone has that question, it's a valid question, absolutely.
absolutely.
And if you feel comfortable answering it, great. If you don't, Jody and others will be there to help.
And
out.
luckily, it's not my article, so.
And, on this particular article, like, I know I'm gonna focus on the big moving amounts that are moving, and they're
Yeah.
tied to union negotiations, which automatically means there's not much we can say. So I'll come up with a best explanation that is possible, given the constraints of not being privy to those
Yeah,
discussions.
thank you.
I would recommend that if anybody asks questions on any of these items, that we give it to the folks that drafted the budget, not us.
Right.
Because I don't think we really can answer them as fully as the town can. And
Yeah.
it's their budget, and they present it to us for our review. But I don't know that we have to disseminate the information to the public. And I also remember one town meeting, not with this particular town, where a town tree warden discussion for $400 went on for an hour and a half. So that can get in the
Yeah,
weeds sometimes, and
Yeah.
it takes things off. And it's the only thing that some people can get their hands around, and they'll ask 1,000 questions when there really isn't any particular need at that particular time for that. But again, that's my suggestion.
I agree. Not that I was asked.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 6 as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? It passes. Okay, moving on to Article 7.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to touch upon this, each section of Article 7 briefly, this is the consent article.
Yeah.
And several years ago, at the recommendation of town council, we condensed several articles down to one. These are the articles that appear every year. They're generally similar. They generally don't raise too much debate, and this helps save a little time at town meeting. Just to touch upon items of note in here, the first item has to do with the salary schedule for the personnel plan, and also mentions employee benefits. There have been no proposed changes to employee benefits at this meeting. There is a recommended 2.5% increase in the schedule for full-time employees, which mirrors the collective bargaining agreements that have been executed. In addition, there are two changes, other changes for a seasonal and a stipend employee that were approved by the select board just a couple nights ago. The first is for the zoning board of appeals clerk, who is proposed to get an increase of the annual stipend from $4,500 to $5,000 per year. That item hasn't been changed in a number of years. The other item is the seasonal workers for the DPW. We've had that set at minimum wage for a number of years. We've been having a hard time getting qualified candidates over the age of 18 to apply for that job. So we've recommended that be increased to $20 per hour to get it closer to the starting pay for Walmart and Amazon and a few other places, to hopefully get some folks that are willing to go out and work in the hot sun in the summer with our DPW. So those are really the changes that are contained in that section of Article 7. Item 2
Yep.
is unchanged. That's the Board of Health appointing authority. Again, that's required under state law to give the Board of Health that extra leeway. Item 3 under Article 7, authorization for spending limits for certain revolving funds. We have the entire list there.
Yep.
There's only been 2 proposed changes to that list on the caps. The COA Transportation Fund to increase from $5,000 cap to $7,500. And then the COA Program Services Fund that increased from $10,000 to $30,000. Otherwise, that is unchanged. And item 4 is where we basically place the Community Preservation Fund budget for their operations. And that, I think that came out to about a 3%, just over a 3% increase in their overall operating budget. And the numbers are outlined in that article. So, happy to answer any questions on the consent article.
Anybody have any questions right now before I turn it over to Brett? Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, I move that the committee vote to approve the items as written in the warrant in consent Article 7.
Second.
It's been recommended properly seconded to approve Article 7 as written. Discussion.
I've been emailing with Mike. Those are all the points I have as backup. I will not go into that level of detail, but we'll just say that this article requires annual approval, as has been standard practice in one consent agenda. No further discussion.
Feel good about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heidi, you have any questions?
No,
Okay. Just checking in on you. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 7 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Article 8.
Article 8, Mr. Chairman, is the article for the capital projects. I believe Chairman Barry came before the committee and
He was
discussed
stuck.
those.
He was stuck on a train,
Oh, that's
actually,
right.
if you remember.
He tried to come before the committee.
He
and
tried.
then Eric did a great job subbing in. So the total motion for this capital item is $684,935 for the various items listed. When you first received this, it did also include the capital project for the water meter replacement program. That's been pulled out of this because it's a special article, it's a borrowing, and you'll see that further down in the articles. We'll get to that. But we're able to fund this full amount through free cash, and happy to answer any follow-up questions that the committee may have about that article.
Go ahead, Mike.
The fire SCBA equipment, was that one that they were applying for a grant and waiting to see on, or was that from something that, from a past one that I was thinking about?
We are applying for a grant
Hang
for the EMS infusion pumps, but we may
maybe it
not
was that
know
one.
about that.
Yeah, that was that
Probably
one. Okay.
until June.
Okay, yep.
That's the problem with these, is sometimes.
Yeah.
And we're still, and then in a future town meeting, we can use those funds and transfer them to some other capital
Yeah.
purpose easily enough.
And there was one last year that we approved. It was like 33,000.
Yeah.
That was waiting for a grant reimbursement
Yeah.
potentially, so.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve Article 8 as written.
Second.
It's been recommended to approve Article 8 as written, properly seconded. Any further discussion from the discussion we just had? No discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 8, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 8 passes. Article 9.
Article 9.
Where are we here?
This is the water meter replacement program. We have a request for a borrowing. The motion you see is what was put forward by bond counsel. So we do have, a slightly updated motion from the original. The payments from the bond would come from the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund. So this is a borrowing of $1,286,633.
Gotcha.
And just for the record, if it's approved, you'll see it in the budget line item listed as water, long-term debt, interest, or principal. So those line items will jump up as the borrowing is authorized and those payment amortization schedules are produced.
Yes.
Has there been any calculation as to effect on the ratepayer estimate, or, you know, what is the effect? That's a question we can anticipate.
Right.
I don't have that
I
for
have
this
not been
evening.
part of those discussions.
So it's something we could certainly look at and see if we could, you know, it's difficult because there's such a range of the way based on the amounts of usage of how it would affect each ratepayer.
Per gallon, per 1,000
But there may
gallon.
be a means
Right,
that we can
right.
try to give an estimate of
Would-
that. We can take a look at that.
Who would you recommend I ask? The DPW or the select
DPW
board?
director as well, and the treasurer, but we can get some projected amortization schedules together based on the borrowing and how much it depends on the phased approach of the project. I know last meeting we talked about it being a year and a half, and can it really get done in a year and a half? Not sure. So
Sure.
I think the DPW director for sure would be part of that for the project cadence, but then on the borrowing side, we'd talk to the treasurer to see what a borrowing schedule would look like. I would imagine we would, again, stagger our borrowing with short-term bands, potentially based on how many houses we can get done and what time frame, and then go out for another borrowing. And then that will drive the payment schedule and then affect the ratepayers. So there's a lot of moving parts. I just don't have any of that information at the moment. Probably not a great answer, but I don't have it.
We can assume that this is not going to be a set fee per ratepayer. It's going to be built into the water rate.
It'll be
sewer
built
rate.
into the operating budget,
water and
so.
sewer rates.
Water and sewer
Correct.
rates themselves.
Correct.
So it's not a flat fee.
Oh,
per
correct. I'm
user or
sorry if I
anything like
misunderstood
that.
the initial
Yeah,
question,
it's
but
not a
no.
flat capital fee, yes.
No, all of that debt and that borrowing will go into the line item and be covered by the
Not
revenues.
like our friends at Eversource.
Yeah, we will not be sending everyone a bill directly.
Yeah, I had the same question as Pete, and even if we can compare it to previous projects of similar quantities or worst-case scenarios or something, I'll be digging in on these numbers as well for, my comments on Article 9 at town meeting.
Yeah, we should definitely circle up with the DPW director and the treasurer for sure, and I can be part of those conversations as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect. Did we take a motion yet on this, or did we start off with the
We
discussion?
haven't taken a motion yet.
Yeah, so let's go through that process.
That's okay.
Just wanna
Mr.
make
Chair.
sure- Just want to make sure, yep.
I make a motion that we accept Article 9 as written.
Second.
There's been a motion to accept Article 9 as written and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? It passes. Going to Article 10, Mark.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 10 as written.
It's been recommended to approve Article 10 as written. Discussion.
Second. Wait a second.
No discussion here.
Mr. Chairman, just to note, again, similar to the Article 9, last week we did have an update of the language for the motion from bond counsel. So bond counsel has, because this is a lease, it's technically a borrowing.
Yep.
Bond counsel has reviewed the article and submitted the motion that you see in your packet.
We did have a question beforehand. The language in the motion is undefined term, but it's usually a 3-year lease. Go ahead, Mark. if you
Yeah,
wanna
so my
clarify.
original question was, my description had specifically said a 3-year lease. And based on the updated language, it kind of leaves it to interpretation that it might not be a 3-year lease.
That would-
I feel that it's safer just to take 3-year lease out of the description entirely, which should cover us, but if you want to.
Yeah, essentially, I believe that the motion does not contain a 3-year notification, right? So,
But I think another provisions of the Chapter 44, Section 21C gives the authority for only a 3-year lease. But again,
and that's the intention. The
The
3-year
intention
lease
is the
is,
three-year.
Bond counsel.
it's always been a 3-year lease, lease purchase. So, and again, sometimes bond counsel likes to leave
Yeah.
the language broader. So I imagine that's why they went with this approach. But I mean, I can assure the finance committee that we have every expectation this is going to be a 3-year lease like all the other leases out
Okay.
there.
I just didn't want to.
Yeah, just keeping the description as a 3-year lease is sufficient.
Yes, I think
Okay.
that's very fair to say. The town was moving forward with a 3-year lease on this,
Does that help you out,
But
Mark?
Not in the motion itself.
but not in the motion.
Right. Do you understand
So
that,
in
Mark?
his description.
Yeah,
In the
I was
description,
just talking
yes.
about the description. I didn't want
Yes.
to send something out to the
Yeah, the des-
residents and say 3-year lease, and then it.
No, it's absolutely
Ends up
fair
being
to
a
say
10-year.
this would be a 3-year lease, because it's a vehicle, we usually almost always do the 3-year. I can't think of a time when we haven't done a 3-year lease
That was my
for a police
understanding as well.
cruiser.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce, did you have something to add, or not?
Pardon me?
Did you have something to add?
No, I
Okay.
was just saying that it generally is, and it would be in his description.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 10 as written, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain?
Mr.
Passes.
Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve Article 11 as written.
Second, for the finance committee too?
Finance Committee to approve Article 11 as written.
Yep.
Second.
It's been recommended to approve Article 11 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
We already discussed
I
it.
think we discussed it a
We
little
did
earlier.
discuss it?
Yep.
All
The
right.
budget, yep.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 11 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? It passes. Article 12.
Mr. Chairman, just to note that this article had a slight change on the motion recommended by town council. The last bullet point is a late addition to the motion itself. The item that says all of the units in the project shall be perpetually restricted affordable units in compliance with applicable EOHLC and CPA requirements. The EOHLC is the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Any further discussion? I think we need to, whose is this? Who's number 12?
Who's got 12?
That's me.
I knew that was you, Heidi. Heidi?
Want to make a motion?
You're just testing to see if I'm awake.
I know. Absolutely. You're too quiet. I don't know what to do.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move that the committee vote to accept Article 12 as written.
Second.
It has been recommended to approve Article 12 as written and properly seconded. Any further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor of approving Article 12 as written, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Oppose? And abstain. Perfect. Going to Article 13.
Mr. Chairman, just a note on Article 13. Just want to make a note that this, we're at the FY 2026, so that's the current fiscal year. This will allow the scoreboard to be purchased later in May or June, so they won't have to wait until July. They have asked that if that could be done, and I've spoken with the finance director about it. There's no reason it can't be done that way. And that was, I believe, the original intention of the CPA committee. So that's what we're recommending, is for the $12,000 to be available immediately upon approval at town meeting. It's all coming from the same pot of money. It's just available 7 weeks earlier.
Does that have to be in the motion?
Well, it is in the motion.
It is in the
so,
motion.
I'm reading it
motion
right
will
now,
have-
so it's properly written here, is
Yes,
what
it
you're saying?
is. Yes, it is. So it says FY 2026. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, I see.
Otherwise, it would
FY
say
26.
FY 2027.
Versus 20, I'm with you.
Right.
Yep. Heidi, did you catch that? Did you hear what Mike Kaczynski had to say?
I did, and I totally support that because I was at the meeting when this was discussed. And that is correct. They wanted access to the money sooner to be able to finish the project.
Great. Heidi, when you're ready, take a
I
motion.
am ready.
Go for it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the committee vote to accept Article 13 as written.
Second.
It has been recommended to approve Article 13 as written and properly seconded. Discussion, any further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain. Okay, moving on to Article 14.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
move that the Finance Committee recommend approval of Article 14 as written.
Second.
It has been recommended to approve Article 14 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
I'd like to make one point, Mr. Chair.
Yep, go ahead.
As was discussed at a tri-board meeting that we had last week, the fact that the town is appropriating this money, which deals with attempts to change the FEMA flood maps to make the land associated with this more developable, or in fact developable at all, which it is not to a certain degree under the current FEMA maps. We discussed the benefit to the town of this from the standpoint of tax revenue or future tax revenue in the development of this land, which if this isn't passed and if these FEMA maps aren't changed, that the development of that land would be diminished and the tax revenue would be diminished from these parcels, whether now or in the future. So I think it's important that everybody understands that and the town understands that this is an expenditure by the town, but the benefit is not simply to the owners of the property, but to the town itself as tax revenue coming from these parcels.
Thank you for explaining it for me.
Joyce, do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you for.
Sorry, Jen, go ahead and see. Go ahead.
I have a question. Can you restate, Mike, what would be, let's say, we vote to appropriate the sum to develop the model? What would be the probability of success in challenging FEMA, even if we had data in our favor?
I could,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I can speak to
Go
that a
ahead.
little bit. We did have an initial review done at a much lower cost, and they indicated that the probability is actually quite high. In this instance, FEMA doesn't come out with their own specialists and get on the ground and look at this. They do it through a series of extrapolations they do from their different general models. And so we sent people out there to take a real good look at this, and we think they're way underestimating the hydraulic
models.
capacity of the Great Swamp, and they are not taking that into consideration, and they feel we have a very high probability that when we actually send folks out there and do the actual tests, that they will approve a letter map of revision, which is what we have to file with them. And so these funds will enable us to hire a company to go out and do that work and give the basis for that appeal, essentially. And we wouldn't be doing this if we thought it was very low chance of approval.
Does that help you?
It does, and what would be the cost of an appeal? How involved is that?
Oh, this is basically the cost. I mean,
Okay.
the appeal is just some paperwork that we
So
have
this
to
is
file.
the appeal.
That
It's
basically
not
is
just
the
some
cost.
data that may or may
No,
not
this is pretty much
support
the,
us.
other than
That's
some,
how it reads,
other than
honestly.
some internal staff time, this is the
Okay.
cost of the appeal.
I see.
Okay, yeah.
Clear?
Yeah, it read to me like it is
Yep.
more money for another study that is just the gate opener, so that is
No,
helpful.
this basically provides the whole basis for
Okay.
the appeal.
Good
Okay,
question.
but that doesn't answer my question, and I said, so that's the basis for the appeal, but then there would be a cost of the appeal on top of it.
No cost, no separate cost of the appeal. We just have to fill out some paperwork
Okay.
and submit that, and we
This
attach the report to
Okay.
that in requesting the updated maps, which
Okay.
basically we prepare the updated map through
Okay.
the study, submit it to FEMA, and ask them to approve the updated map based on the study that was done.
And if anybody should bring it up at town meeting, will we get reimbursed with this $120,000? $120,000. We will not,
No.
unfortunately, even if there's, thank you, so, again, sorry, figure I'm loud enough. That $120,000 will not be able to be recouped by the town, unfortunately, even if FEMA is found to be wrong.
So FEMA
And-
makes these maps at no risk to themselves,
Correct.
essentially.
So I think townspeople may ask that, and that's important that they know that, no, unfortunately, it can't be.
But I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of what is recoupment. Recoupment would be in future tax revenue.
Correct, but I'm just saying that particular fact.
The 120?
The 120. And if somebody said that, the rebuttal would be, the recoupment would be the tax revenue from these properties.
Yeah, if that land was fully built out, I would estimate we would receive several times that amount per year in additional tax revenue.
Right.
For those, if those properties were fully built out.
Good questions. Any further questions? Pete?
How many acres are in play?
Oh, you got me on that one. Certainly something we could come back to
That's all right.
committee with, once we have the experts out there, and they can certainly
How
let
many
us
acres are
know
in
how many
play?
acres.
That'd be good to know.
A fair amount. The acres certainly that we're most concerned about are the ones right along Route 109, back a certain distance.
Is our ask all or none, or is there some middle ground?
Oh, there's definitely middle ground, yeah.
Okay. If there's no more further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 14 as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Article 14 passes. Going on to Article 15. Who is 15? 3. How about, I'm
15,
bouncing
guys.
around here. Heidi?
I believe Heidi is.
Heidi?
Yes, this one is me again.
Yes, it is. At your convenience.
Chair, I move that the committee vote to accept Article 15 as written.
Second.
It has been recommended and seconded to approve Article 15 as written. Discussion. Heidi, do you have anything to add, or are you good?
I am good. I mean, I'm happy to present sort of a short overview for the committee, but it's a little complicated, and yet in its complication, there is a simple explanation for it.
We went through this last meeting, I think.
I think you're right. Yep. Okay. If you're good with it and there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 15 as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposed, abstain, nothing. All right, Article 16.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Eric.
I make a motion that the Finance Committee approve Article 16 as written.
It has been recommended to approve Article 16 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
This is a very simple article. It just updates our bylaws to reflect reality. Yeah, we refer to the Capital Planning Committee as that and not as the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. Finance directors at all of our meetings. And we already, I say we, I serve on that board as well.
Yep.
As the liaison. The Capital Planning Committee already has a $25,000 floor that things below that are not looked at.
Gotcha. Any questions for Eric? No questions for Eric? Okay, no more discussion. All those in favor of approving Article 16 as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 9-0. Article 17 is myself. I recommend that we approve Article 17 as written.
Seconded?
It's been recommended to approve and seconded. Discussion. I think we heard
We had
quite a
pretty
bit
good
from
discussion.
Nicole Riley.
Yep.
Unless anyone has any specific questions, I'm good with this one. No further discussion. All those in favor of approving Article 17 as written, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Article 18, yes, Mike, go
I
ahead.
move to approve, I move that the FinCom approve Article 18 as written.
Thank you. There's been a motion to approve Article 18 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, just briefly, this was the other article, the other motion that had just a slight change in the language recommended by town council. Just the words where it says, from the remaining balance of funds. So again, it was just a little wordsmithing, the town council recommended.
Yep.
The end result is the same.
Perfect. Any further discussion? If there's no more further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 18 as written, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Article 19.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Article 19. I move that the Finance Committee recommend approval of Article 19 as written.
It has been recommended to approve Article 19 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, this article cancels a previous borrowing authorization of $206,021 that was approved for the DeAngelis Well Project Well 1 and 2 at town meeting May 2022. The project's now complete, so this borrowing authorization is no longer needed. This vote simply closes out the remaining unused borrowing authority and officially wraps up the project financially. It also reduces the town's total outstanding at the authorized debt, so our records better reflect current needs.
Thank you. Any follow-up? No follow-up. If there's no follow-up discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 20 as written, please say aye. Aye. 19, my bad. That was for Article 19. Those not in favor, abstain. No one passes. On to Article 20. That's where I was.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the Finance Committee vote on Article 20 as written.
Approve Article 20 as written.
Approve as written.
Second.
Second. Perfect. So it's been recommended to approve Article 20 as written and properly seconded. Further discussion? No discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 20 as written, please say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain? I'm sorry, no, abstain? I know, I heard everybody, but formalities. Okay, Article 21. Who has
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the Finance Committee vote,
Recommend?
recommend approval.
Yep.
Article 21 is written. I should have written it down.
It has been recommended to approve Article 21 as written and properly seconded. Discussion. Pretty straightforward. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 21 as written, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Passes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the committee vote to approve Article 22 as written.
Second.
It's been recommended to approve Article 22 as written and properly seconded. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Brett.
This article seeks to create a designated fund to account for and pay liabilities related to accrued compensated absences owed to town employees. By setting aside funds over time and establishing this reserve fund, it would allow the town to limit the financial impact of these payouts, improve long-term financial planning, and enhance budget stability.
Fantastic. No more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving Article 22 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Article 23.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that the town vote to approve Article 23. I'm reading really well.
It's all right.
I'm reading well. I move that the Finance Committee
Yeah.
vote to approve Article 23
Yeah.
as written.
It's all right.
We're saying a bunch of different
Can I
things.
get a second? Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
It's been recommended to approve Article 23 as written and probably seconded. Discussion. Brett?
Yeah, so I have a couple discussion points, but I had a question actually for the
Please.
Finance Director.
Yes.
My notes from the fall were that we make annual contributions. This would be our second annual contribution at a different amount. And I was wondering if you could share more about that.
In terms of what?
In terms of our
Like,
contributions.
why is it a different amount, or?
I suppose my notes might have been specific where we make one annual contribution, maybe not multiple. So it could be that we make multiple annual contributions
Oh,
at
I
a
see, I
certain.
see. Yes, so
In the
we'll
fall and
make
the
a
spring? In the
contribution.
fall and the spring, yeah.
We'll make a contribution for as much as it will allow, our budget and our free cash will allow us to make.
Got it.
Obviously, we have an incredible unfunded liability, so if we can make some additional efforts, especially in a borrowing year, that goes a long way with our borrowers, potential borrowers.
So it's not the town's annual contribution, it's part of
Yeah,
our
I
annual
would just say
contribution.
an annual, or I wouldn't even say annual,
Say
I'll
a
just say a
contribution.
contribution.
Yeah. Periodic.
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect,
there you go.
periodic, I like it.
So
Thank you.
again,
Could be
we've
multiple.
put 50,000 in the past, we've put 100,000. And again, we try to put money in where possible while trying to maintain the rest of our services and accounts at a decent level.
So with that said, this is, as you heard it, a periodic contribution to the OPEB trust fund, and consistent annual funding demonstrates sound financial management and improves our bond rating for when the town needs to borrow.
Perfect. Yeah?
I did something right.
Reverend? Good job, Brett.
You're doing great, Brett.
All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Article 23 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There's no joking. Nays are 0, abstain 0. Article 24, the final article.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mark.
I move that the Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 24 as written.
Second.
It has been recommended to approve Article 24 as written and probably seconded. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a reminder, the town of Mills has adopted a policy to maintain a stabilization fund equal to 5% of its annual general fund budget expenditures. And with this additional 125,000, it would bring the total up to 6.6%, which is a healthy balance.
Which is why.
Well said.
A healthy balance.
Go ahead, Pete.
Is the policy, to whoever wants to answer, is the policy to maintain 5% or a minimum of 5%?
It's a minimum
It's a
of
minimum.
5%.
Because right now it's like 6
That's
and
good.
change.
6.6, well,
Yeah,
right
it
now.
will be 6.6 with this contribution, based again on current market value in that account, et cetera. But
Yeah.
we're over 6.5.
Can we put too much in?
No,
You can never put too much. in.
Exactly.
You can only put too.
Had to ask.
no.
Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor of Article 24 as written, please say aye. 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 Abstain. Opposed? No one. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for going through that exercise. Thank you to Jody and Mike for guiding us through some of those articles. Much appreciated. All right. That was good. That was good. Going to Finance Committee meeting minutes approval for April 8th, 2026. And these are buried deep in the packet.
Move to approve?
Second?
There's been a motion to approve the FinCom meetings from April 8th of 2026 and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that passes.
Abstaining on that.
Yes, you are,
Yeah, she missed that one.
you can abstain, yep.
Yeah.
And on the tri-board minutes approval, you might want to abstain this one, but I don't want to lead you. Can I make a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Move to approve the tri-board meeting minutes from April 9th and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Abstain.
Abstain Brett and abstain Heidi.
And Jen?
And Jen, thank you. Okay. Old business, new business. I have a couple items here. Does anyone else have any old business, new business?
No.
I just have liaison update.
Okay. Jen, do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
Start off?
All right. So, as we kind of go into spring annual town meeting, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week we have off because of school vacation, and then we have our pre-town meeting, and FinCom report will be going out in the mail soon. It's going to go to the printer this Friday. Amanda and I are working on that right now. And then we have a week off, and then we go right into April 4th, Monday, April 4th, which is the spring town meeting, so hopefully
May 4th.
May 4th, excuse me, I apologize, yep. Hopefully that's on everybody's calendar. Continue to research the articles that you have and any talking points you wish to make. That would be good. As we look past the spring town meeting, most likely we will probably have one more meeting. Usually it's to transfer funds, things like that, to wrap up the fiscal year '26. It's more administrative than anything and relatively a short meeting. In addition to that, there are two people on this committee that will be stepping down at the end of their term, and that is myself and Jen Zaratsky. So, the school letter went out, Bob Mulaney sent out in the school letter on April 10th, seeking new FinCom members, and I mentioned it to all members, but also new members to bring on people that want to get involved and might be on the fence about trying to get involved, whether that's with school committee, finance committee, or select board, or whatever it might be. FinCom's a great stepping stone to other areas. So I don't know if, Jen, do you have any thoughts to say during your tenure here, or as we kind of look at the next few weeks?
I'd say it's a great way to understand just sort of how all the nuts and bolts work. I mean, you don't really, right, I mean, it's, in an advisory capacity, it's a way to sit and hear what every department has going on and how the budgets work. And I certainly learned a lot about how the state and town interplay. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's easy for everybody to criticize on Facebook, but it really takes sitting here and understanding how it works to really humble yourself and say, whoa, you know, this is not that easy and it's not that simple. And for
Pretty
anybody who
complicated.
might want to get a deep dive for 3 years into all that, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome to understand all the different departments and how the municipal and the school side work together and come together from a financial standpoint. So the reason why I bring this up right now is because whenever our meeting will be post-town meeting in June, we'll be electing new positions for chair, vice chair, and clerk. So we might have new members there, but it's going to be the old members that are going to be voting on that. That's the reason why we switched of assigning the roles, chair, vice chair, and clerk, to the fiscal year versus the calendar year, because we used to do that mid-cycle, and it got a little convoluted. It wasn't bad, just it could be more efficient, so this is why it's happening now. You know, just a couple points. So I recommend anyone else to think about if they want to seek out a position and be part of it. I know Heidi, you're part of the Capital Preservation Committee right now, and Eric, you're on the Capital Planning Committee. So what I've been trying to do over the last 2 to 3 years is just try to streamline everything, cloud-based wise, file-wise, helping members kind of with an onboarding process. There hasn't been too much of an onboarding process. I'm trying to help that out so you can learn about open meetings, things like that. We did a kind of an informal mentorship program with the new members. I think that worked out pretty well. And been working with Amanda in terms of organizing all the files on the cloud with IT director and things like that. I have been including Mike Crone in a lot of my meetings for potential successor as chair, but other people can go for chair as well. One thing that any committee needs is what does succession look like, and that's different for every committee out there. Sometimes you got to go to be a treasurer and then vice chair and then chair, or another director of some kind before you kind of do it all. So my goal is to try to hand the baton off on a smooth as possible basis to the next chapter, next term. Questions, comments, thoughts? 5 to 6 years, 5 years, at least 5 years, 6 years. So
Terms are usually 3, so
yeah.
it must be 6.
I know, but I came in halfway.
That's right.
I was a tweener.
You were tweener.
So
Don't go,
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair?
yes, go ahead.
I would just like to say, I was not expecting you to say that.
Okay.
I would just like to thank you for bringing a bunch of new people on this year and really,
Educated.
doing what you had to do to mentor us, to be there to answer questions, to support us. I've seen you in action, and I really respect the job that you've done,
Thank you.
and we will miss you.
Second.
Thank you. So it's
All those in favor?
it's a, don't kick me out yet. It's a process, and we can all try to leave things in a better place than when we arrive. So that's the goal, ongoing goal. With that said, why don't we shift to liaison updates if we have any? CPC?
Yeah,
Joyce?
I do. Thank you. As you all know, I'm with the Council on Aging, and we had a wonderful health fair yesterday from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and it was a joint fair. It was a joint effort between the Health Department and the Council on Aging. And we had the town social worker there, and she did a presentation on drug abuse and what to do and what to recognize. I believe the Millis Cable filmed that, so if anybody's interested in seeing it, they can see it on the Millis Cable. There was also a physical therapy company there that did a presentation, and it was very interesting. Their focus is on balance, and they do a lot of mind resetting and balancing. A lot of ear problems come from balance, so it was a very educational, but it's not, I would say 50% of theirs is for balance work. They've done it with stroke victims. It's not just elderly, and the rest is sports medicine. It was an excellent presentation. They are in Franklin. There were also, the Housing Authority was there and was able to present some information for folks so that they'd have a better understanding of what's going on with the potential land and building and what to do as far as what to do, what we're hoping to do. And last but not least, Thomas Upham House was there, and they explained what they do. I mean, there were the Sheriff's Department. It was really well done and well visited. So I applaud both the Health Department and the COA director for pulling this off. It was really well done. I have some personal good news about our Stitch and Sew program. We were filmed last Thursday by Channel 5. It was awesome. We're going to be the program's airing tomorrow at 5:55 and at 7:15. And then Saturday morning. There's a GoFundMe page, and if anybody's interested in, watching it, great. If anybody's interested in seeing the GoFundMe page, if you can spell my name, Joyce Boyardi, you can find me find it on Facebook, and you can click it. And the links and a QR code will be available for the show. So we're also professional.
Perfect. Sounds very exciting. Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, how many thousands of bears has the team created?
Well, I think we're at approximately 1,200 in 2 years, and we've distributed over 1,000. I think we've distributed, because we just distributed another 50 this week. Last week, we distributed another 50, and then we did the fundraiser with the with the bunnies. So that was really successful. So yeah, we're more of a workroom because we've got such a large group of women that are involved, that we're making a lot more than most probably would, but it's so well worth it. I mean, they're going everywhere. We've gone to California, we've gone to, everywhere.
Interviewed for a reason.
So it was good. It was good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Anything else?
Move to adjourn. Second.
It's been probably moved to adjourn and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Heidi, for joining us. Have a good night.